Get ready for the action, because we are kicking things off with massive heavyweight drama. MVP co-founder Nakasa Bidarian is showing she is more than willing to team up with Dana White and the UFC to make the Francis Ngannou versus Jon Jones super fight a reality. We dive into exactly what this means for the biggest heavyweight clash in years, and why everyone is watching this potential alliance unfold. Current landscape of the sport. And finally, we look ahead to the biggest card on the horizon. We break down the UFC 329 lineup featuring Paddy Pimblett and Benoit, Denny's co-main event, and the exciting debut of Robert Whittaker in the 205-pound division. Don't miss a single moment of this massive fight night. Stay locked in with us for all the latest MMA news. MVP co-founder Nakasa Bidarian has expressed strong willingness to collaborate with the UFC and Dana White to co-promote a highly anticipated heavyweight bout between Francis Ngannou and Jon Jones. The potential matchup has gained significant traction following Ngannou's recent fight with Philippe Lins for MVP. Following the event, Ngannou reiterated his interest in facing Jones, a sentiment echoed by Jones himself, who has publicly stated a desire to leave his current UFC contract to fight Ngannou. At a post-fight press conference, Bidarian emphasized the precedent for co-promotion across various sports, citing historical examples like the fight between Mayweather and McGregor as a benchmark for major revenue-generating events. Bidarian stressed that there are no barriers to collaboration, stating, "We're more than willing. There are no hurt feelings." He argued that the matchup represents a pinnacle moment for the heavyweight division, deserving of global attention. However, Bidarian tempered his enthusiasm by voicing skepticism about the UFC's willingness to proceed. He suggested that Dana White may not approve the arrangement, recognizing that this fight could be the biggest heavyweight contest in years. Bidarian concluded, "I don't think it's realistic because I don't think Dana is going to allow that in any way, shape, or form. I wish it could happen, and I think Jon deserves that moment. I think the sport deserves that moment." The rivalry between Ngannou and Jones has been ongoing for years. The prospect of their fight was briefly explored in 2022 when Ngannou was offered an $8 million deal, but the negotiations stalled due to disagreements over UFC contract structures, particularly concerning Ngannou's desire to compete in boxing. This led to Ngannou leaving the promotion as a free agent in early 2023. While the two have continued to tease about, the current landscape presents hurdles. Dana White is reportedly not keen on bringing Ngannou back to the UFC, and Jones is contractually obligated to fight remaining bouts within his current agreement. The recent debut of the MVP MMA event on Netflix has sparked discussion regarding its potential to disrupt the established dominance of the UFC. The opening bout featured Ronda Rousey securing an instant finish over Gina Carano, a result consistent with Rousey's established pattern as a high-impact fighter. Other notable action included Mike Perry and Nate Diaz battling for a round, followed by a brutal exchange where Platinum carved Diaz's face into a mask of blood. Francis Ngannou, Saladin Parnas, and Robles Despaini all secured first-round knockouts. The production quality and broadcasting were noted as solid, providing new viewers with engaging content. However, analysis suggests the main card structure relies heavily on mismatches and older stars, often sacrificing established names like Nate Diaz or bringing in fighters such as Kenny Cross and Philippe Lins to be defeated. The critique is that this approach fails to build momentum for future events. Post-fight discussions revealed plans to rematch Gina Carano and rebook a Diaz versus Perry fight, ideas deemed stale by observers. Experts argue that the MVP roster possesses sufficient talent for a more compelling card, suggesting pairings like Francis Ngannou versus Robles Despaigne, or exploring a match between Mike Perry and Jake Paul. A key recommendation is to properly challenge rising talent like Saladin Parnasse, who competes in the highly competitive 155-pound division. The overarching conclusion is that while the current events deliver spectacle and headlines, a long-term business strategy requires building a roster featuring genuine, well-matched talent rather than relying solely on established stars, lest the current attractions become repetitive. Netflix hosted a shocking and brutal mixed martial arts event this weekend, featuring a devastating defeat for 42-year-old former UFC heavyweight champion Junior Dos Santos in his first bout on the streaming platform. The event took place at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood, California, and was co-promoted by Jake Paul, featuring high-profile matchups including Francis Ngannou and UFC legend Nate Diaz. Dos Santos faced off against 37-year-old Robles Despaigne in the main card, which was part of the larger Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano event. The performance from Dos Santos was described as terrifying, as he was brutally beaten down within the first round. While Dos Santos started the round strongly with several powerful kicks, the action quickly turned against him. Despaigne capitalized, landing 2 crushing blows, followed by a quick combination, a gigantic uppercut, and another brutal flurry of punches. Dos Santos was knocked out immediately, leaving him confused upon waking. Despaigne, who had not competed in MMA since late 2024, delivered the decisive victory. This marks a historic moment for the streaming platform as it enters the sports arena. Dos Santos, widely regarded as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, holds a distinguished record, including winning the UFC title in 2011 and earning multiple knockout awards. Following his loss to Despaigne, the Cuban heavyweight, Despaigne, expressed satisfaction with his performance, stating, "I'm so happy with the work I've put in to get me here." He subsequently announced Francis Ngannou as his next opponent. The event showcased the growing interest in sports content on Netflix, highlighting the high-stakes action and the dramatic turn of events in this inaugural broadcast. Noi Dung Kai Tight. The UFC is set to host a significant event with UFC 329 on July 11 at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, featuring an International Fight Week card packed with high-profile matchups. While Conor McGregor's return is a major draw, the card promises substantial action beyond the main event. The featured attraction remains McGregor's rematch against Max Holloway at the welterweight division. A major co-main event is slated for a previously rumored lightweight clash between Paddy Pimblett and Benoit Saint-Denis. The fight card also includes several compelling bouts across different weight classes. At bantamweight, Corey Sandhagen will face Mario Bautista. The flyweight division will see Brandon Royval take on Loner Kavanagh. In the heavyweight division, prospect Gable Steveson will secure his octagon debut by locking horns with one-time UFC competitor Elisha Ellison. Adding intrigue is the first fight for 205-pound former middleweight champion Robert Whittaker, who will face Nikita Krylov. Outside of the main and co-main events, the official bout order for UFC 329 has not yet been released. With 11 confirmed bouts, promoters are expected to potentially add more matchups, as the promotion typically schedules 13 fights per event. The confirmed lineup includes notable fights such as Paddy Pimblett versus Benoit Saint-Denis, Corey Sandhagen versus Mario Bautista, Brandon Royval versus Loner Kavanagh, and the heavyweight contest between Gable Steveson and Elisha Ellison.